Let's start by talking about the Cleveland Browns, though, because they're hovering around this top 5 spot. If they're in a position after the season's over where they cannot get a quarterback because they're hovering around that 5 spot, do you think that they're a team that must trade up?
Yes, I think they're the one that makes the most sense, like logically, and I think that they're the one that should absolutely, because here's the situation you're in, Joe. Kevin Stefanski, not sure if he's going to be the head coach long-term after this season because of the couple stinkers in a row that he's had. I know that he's had a longer leash than some, considering the Cleveland Browns effect of, like, it's hard to win in Cleveland, at least in recent history. But I still think that Stefanski could potentially have a opportunity to be let go this offseason, it seems, right? And if he does, I think there is a credence to new head coach, fresh blood at quarterback conversation. And unfortunately for Shedeur Sanders, who showed some flashes early when he became the starting quarterback, it's been downhill since then, right? So he's had a few clunkers in a row, and you only invested a 5th-round pick into him. So you're not going to mortgage potentially taking a quarterback in the top 5 that you love for Shedeur Sanders. You're just not going to do it. You're not doing it for Dylan Gabriel, obviously, for the most obvious of reasons, right, of a 3rd-round draft pick. So I think that they are a team that should consider trading up, because also they're not a team that's picking at 9 or 10 where it's going to take a crap ton to be able – I think it's just a crap for the second time on this podcast, which is – but it's going to take a lot for a team to go from 9 to 1 in instance, right? For a team that go 3 or 4 to 1, that's not a crazy amount of draft capital. It's still going to take some, obviously, but it's not this daunting jump of 8 to 9 spots that's going to be like crazy draft capital. So the fact that you are close in the conversation, I think is important. I think the fact that you don't have a quarterback and you might be turning over the regime of a new head coach potentially. So if you love Fernando Mendoza or you love Dante Moore, I think it could be beneficial for you to trade up, Joe. The problem is, though, on the other side of it, though, if I'm the Giants or I'm the Raiders, let's say they end with the top 2 picks, I would rather trade with a team that is further back, because as long as it's not like you're not trading into the 20s, but like if I'm the Giants and a team picking at number 8 overall, let's say compared to the 4, I'd rather trade back to 8 in this class because I'm going to be able to get more and more draft capital, and you still get a top 10 draft pick. That's where the eeriness of this whole conversation starts with, but the Browns should absolutely try to make this happen if they can.
Yeah, well, I obviously with the nuance of that aspect of it, like, of course, the Giants are going to want to try, if the Giants are the team that are in that spot, they're going to want to try to leverage whoever's going to give them the most. The opposite end of that is, and there's one team in particular that we're going to talk about, I think would be the best option for that circumstance. It might be too expensive to even consider doing it. But specifically with the Browns instance, them and the Jets, we're going to get to in a second, have to be considered the most desperate because they've swung and missed recently on quarterbacks. The Browns, more specifically the Deshaun Watson interaction of swapping him for Baker Mayfield, set them back incredibly far. Decided not to go in on a quarterback early last year. Shedeur Sanders has been solid, has played better, I think, than the 5th round billing as you would expect, sure. But to your point, if you really, really love Mendoza or you really, really love Dante Moore, you can't just keep going into the next offseason and into the next offseason without finding some sort of a resolution. I think that this specifically is a team that, as much as they might be closer to competing because their defense is so good compared to some of these other teams that are in the mix. I mean, Myles Garrett's unreal. Sure. If you could convince yourself, hey, if we go and get a veteran and we want to think that we can win right now, I think that you have been so far down this line that trying to go by that approach is far too risky. If you invest in Kyler Murray or you go and get Mac Jones, there's really not very many good moves for you to go and make. I don't know if there's like a Geno that's an unknown veteran that's available, that could become available in the future. The current state of this team not having a young playmaker to develop around and build the roster around is setting this team back. The fact that they have not resolved this in some time, I mean, it's not even just the Deshaun Watson, it's having Baker and then that not working out. And then before Baker, it was decades of not having a franchise quarterback. you need to make that move because you have put yourself in this position of non-competitiveness because you still haven't found someone.
I don't think that this is a team that can try the veteran quarterback route just in general. Like, even if it's a team-friendly quarterback conversation, like, you could bring a guy in to be a bridge to your young quarterback potentially, but you cannot go all in on, I don't even know what the hypothetical is, like a true veteran quarterback that has still some stay power in terms of trying to compete for a playoff spot.
Tua.
Tua would make zero sense for the Cleveland Browns, because while their defense is, while you're right, Joe, their defense is good. Absolutely. It's a very good unit. Again, you might be dealing with a new coaching regime, and while that defense is very good, the offense is horrible. And it's not just the quarterback spot. Like, this isn't I think of like Ben Roethlisberger when he got drafted to Pittsburgh back in the day, Joe. They had Tommy Maddox at quarterback, and it was like, legitimately, Pittsburgh was a quarterback away from competing for Super Bowls. Like, they were so close. This is not that team. They need to fully rebuild this offensive line. They need to add weapons at wide receiver. Like, this is not a one-off season, flip the switch, you're a quarterback away from potentially making a huge jump in production. Like, you need to find 2 offensive tackles. You need to rebuild the interior of the offensive line for the Cleveland Browns. You need to get several pass game weapons outside of the tight end position. So, like, you need to overhaul the offense. If Cleveland tried... This is the worst case scenario. You want to hear the worst case scenario? The worst case scenario is Kevin Stefanski, for some reason, comes back for one more year. They give him one more season, and he says, you know what? I need to save my job. I'm going to go for a veteran stopgap quarterback. That is the worst case scenario for this team. Because that roster, that offensive roster needs to get overhauled. Like, it needs to, man. It's a bad roster. Young quarterback on a rookie contract, start to rebuild the trenches, start to rebuild the pass-catching group. That is why I think ultimately a young quarterback in the draft and being semi-aggressive for one, I think would be the best case scenario for this team, whoever the next head coach is as well.